Finally, the big day's here. The service day for our lovely Mazda RX-8. And so welcome to the third part from our Mazda RX-8 series. But before we start, I need to say it is really long ago since this car has its last inspection. And it's really also long ago since this car received some love from its owner. And so I will finally change it and give him all that love that is neat, okay? And as you see here on the table, we was big shopping. We took the money out of our pocket, throw it to the table, and that's the result of it. All what it needs for a big inspection. All the filters, the ignition coils, the spark plugs, spark plug cables, and all the fluids. Engine oil, gearbox oil, and differential oil. What we're missing here is the coolant, but the whole coolant thing will be in a separated video because it is a lot to talk about it, okay? But before we start to work on this car, we will first do a compression test. And this is something that wasn't planned by me because I didn't have a rotary engine compression tester. But luckily, one of the viewers got in touch with me and let me know that he has a tester. So I asked him, what do you think? Is it possible to borrow it for 1-2 days? And he said yes. Come by, pick it up. Let's talk a little bit about this car because I have one many years already and I can give you also some important inside information. So I took the opportunity, drive to him, meet him, a very friendly guy. At this point, many thanks to Cyril. It was really a pleasure to meet you. And so we're talking about this car, we're talking about all the know-how that he has with his RX-8 over the years. And so he gave me for some days this compression tester. But before we start, first we need to warm up the engine because the whole procedure only works with the warm engine. Let's start.
6.5 hours later.
Alright, so we are back from warming up the car, so the car is now warm and we already have it again on the lift. So before we start to unscrew the spark plugs, I will first remove the left front wheel because I had a feeling I will get a better access to the spark plugs if I remove it. So my feeling was right. I mean, when you have it on the lift like we have it right now, you have a pretty good access under the car to the both trailing spark plugs, which are the under spark plugs. But when you took away the left front wheel, you have even a better access to the whole spark plug thing. So I think we will go this way from the left side. Okay, so my plan is first I will unplug the relay from the fuel pump. And then I will also unplug the sensor from the crankshaft so we doesn't have any risk that the car, when we crank it, will start up because there will be no fuel injected to the chambers. And then I will first, before I unscrew both spark plugs, I will idle, I will crank the car for some seconds to really get both chambers empty without any fuel inside. And then I will start with the rearest, the back rotor, and I will do per rotor 3 times the same procedure and then took the average of all 3 runs to have the most precise data about how the whole pressure thing is in both rotors. Okay, so yeah, let's start. So we open up the fuse box and the relay for the fuel pump is this here. In the first row, down left side, that blue thing. That one that doesn't want to come out. It is this guy. So it's this little guy. So we took him out. And then we move on to the next step, which is unplug the crankshaft sensor. So now, and at least we unplugged the sensor for the crankshaft which then will not let start the car. So and then we can idle it, we can crank it, and doesn't have any risk that the car will start then. So one important thing, when you unplug the crankshaft sensor, it is important in case of this RX-8, pull them on the right side from the sensor, because it is too close to the whole belt system of this car, and you really risk it if you don't pull it on the right side, that the belt will suck them in, and then you have really a big problem. Okay, and now we can crank him for some seconds to get really both chambers empty of fuel. So, and now he shouldn't start anymore. Perfect. So the spark plug is out, and we will screw in the sensor. We tighten it hand warm, huh? Okay, so not too tight. And now the compression tester. So we just stick him into the sensor. Good. So we are now ready, but before we start, I put a sticker on it and I wrote on it R for right, so it's the right rotor, and we will do it 3 times. We will idle 3 times. So number 1, then we will make a picture with the result, then number 2, again a picture, and then we will know each picture from which rotor it is and from which run it is. And then we will take the average, and then I think we will have a pretty accurate idea how the situation of the engine is. Okay, and so what I see on many YouTube videos, all the guys who did this compression test did it by full pressing through the gas pedal to get a little bit more compression. It should brought to the whole game 0.2 or 0.3 more compression bar, of course. And yeah, so we will do it the same way and find out what at the end is the result. And now we move on to the second rotor, to the left side. So, and now, as we know the result from the compression test, we start finally with the servicing of the car. And the first thing we will do is change the oil. Let's go. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking right now, goddamn, what's about the compression test results? Don't worry, just show a little bit patience. By the end of the video, you will know it. So now we have fresh oil inside, we also changed the oil filter, and now it's time to take care about the real troublemakers in the whole story. And these are the ignition coils, including the spark plug cables and the spark plugs. So the whole thematic is a real big thing in case of the RX-8. So I read a lot about it in many RX-8 chats in the internet, and many of the RX-8 drivers decide to go with other manufacturers like I think Black Halo Racing or something like this, which costs a lot more than this here, NGK, but should also lasts longer and has a better performance. Okay, in case of our RX-8, we decided to go with the OEM NGK. For me, I want to find out what's all about, how it works it well, how long it will live in the car, because Mazda say all 20 to 30,000 kilometers you should change them. And I think that's too often. But I will find it out. I want to find it out for myself. And if it's really like this, then I will take care in the next step. So in the next 20 or 30,000 kilometers, I will buy something more expensive like this Black Halo Racing or however all they call. It will cost a little bit more, but in the end it should last longer, okay? And I also realize, especially when you stand somewhere by the red light, this car has misfire because the way how it works, and when you accelerate, when you press the gas pedal, it needs a little bit of time, and it has the behavior from an engine that has misfire. And I'm so happy to fix that finally. I hope that it will be fixed with new ignition coils, new spark plugs, and new spark plugs cable by NGK. So let's get on.
Alright, as next we will take care about the differential oil. I take a look to the service book and I didn't find nothing that somebody already has changed it. What means this oil here inside is already since 2004 here and do his job. So it means it's about time to change it. So normally in the manual of RX-8 Mazda wrote you should take the GL575W90. But I decided to go with a thicker oil, which is the GL575W 140. And the reason is that because if you drive this car sporty, maybe on a racetrack, it makes more sense to have a thicker oil which gives more protection to the differential. I'm not sure if I will use it on the racetrack, maybe, we will see, but I'm pretty sure I will take it for sporty driving on a Swiss mountain pass road, because we have so many nice Swiss mountain pass roads here in Switzerland, and it is a shame not to use this car for exactly this type of driving. And maybe we will see, we will also do a road trip to warmer countries, and maybe it will be a possibility to drive it on a racetrack. And all in all, it makes more sense for me to take a thicker oil, because at the end I'm a sporty driver. This is a sporty car and my plan is to drive it sporty. Okay, so let's open the differential and see what comes out. I will then hold into the fluid when it runs out a magnet inside to see what it catches. Do we have some metallic parts in the oil, or does it still looks good? Okay, let's find it out. All right, I need to say really I'm surprised, because I was thinking the oil will be much more darker and dirtier, because I mean it's 22 years old and it is already since 170,000 kilometers on it. But it was really clean for that many years, that many kilometers. It was really clean. I also hold the magnetic stick inside, and there was absolute no deposit on the magnetic stick. But when we take a closer look to the screw, which also has a magnet on the top, then you realize we have here an absolute normal metal deposit on it, which over the years the magnet of the screw catches. So all in all, I would say the differential is in a great condition when you take a look to the oil, how it looks like, and to the metal deposit on the magnet. I'm really surprised about it. I'm really surprised. And that also is some kind of an indicator that the drivers, the pre-owners of this car, didn't use it extremely. What means they didn't go on the racetrack with it, I would say, and when they go, it was maybe once. And also they drive it more normally than sporty. And I also would say they didn't drift around with it, because when you drift around with a car, the metal deposit on a magnetic screw like this is much more. All right, so let's refill it with new fresh oil, and then we will move on to the gearbox. So we put a copper washer on it, so it is for the next many years and many kilometers again fully sealed. So and now we also open up the gearbox, and the oil that comes outside was also in a good condition, because you saw it was the first oil since 2004. It was a little bit dirtier than that one from the differential, and I also have a lot more metal deposit on the magnetic knob, which is here. I already cleaned it up. I forgot to show it to the camera. We will put it without any tone inside, because I was talking on German as I film it. And it was double that deposit that we have compared to the screw from the differential. And in case of this, you see how much more work a gearbox needs to fulfill compared to the differential, because you shift your gears. Maybe you misshifted, that famous noise when you put it in. And this is all this deposit that you see at the end after 22 years and 107,000 kilometers, which this gearbox has done. I would say twice or triple times more than the deposit from the differential. And that shows how many works and how many work a gearbox needs to fulfill to bring this car from A to B in a sporty manner of driving. And yeah, the deposit is always some kind of, how you want to call it, the deposit is a proof. Is a proof to that a gearbox has much more task to fulfill than a differential. Let's say it this way. Oh, I made it so complicated. And at least one thing still remains, and that's the cabin filters. And I changed already a lot of cabin filters, especially from MAN filters, but especially in case of this, filters are inside is a manual specific for the RX-8. And there you have step by step, including pictures, the manual and the procedure, how you need to do that. So I never saw that before for a cabin filter. Exciting. So let's do it. Oh, shit. Alright guys, we are finished with the first part from the service on our RX-8. We changed all the fluids, we changed all the filters, and even more important, we changed the spark plugs, spark plug cables, and the ignition coils, okay? And I also have the results from the compression test. But before we come to this, let's talk about something that I find during the service that really makes me angry. Goddamn angry, okay? So it is something by the spark plugs. But before I start to talk about this, let me give you some information. Maybe you're familiar with that, maybe you're not, okay? So in case of a rotary engine, doesn't matter RX-8 or RX-7, because it has a long-shaped combustion chamber, you have two spark plugs on each rotor.
a trailing and a leading spark plug. The leading spark plug is a hot spark plug and the trailing spark plug is a cold spark plug. So the first one that fires is the leading spark plug, and then a little bit later the trailing spark plug also fires to get the most efficiency out of the engine. Okay, good. So you have also hot and cold spark plugs by normal combustion engine. It must be not a rotary engine. So the temperature difference between those two is regularly something like 80 to 100 Celsius degrees. I think something like this. I'm not 100% sure, but 99.9% it should be something like this. Good. All right. So, and some idiot that did the last inspection on this car put 4 times the leading spark plug into the engine. So on both rotors you have 2 times the leading spark plugs, which means also there where the trailing spark plug should be was the leading spark plugs, which means we have 2 times a hot spark plug inside. So now you ask, okay, where's the problem? Yeah, the problem is that by a regular one combustion engine, if you put in a combustion engine that needs to have a cold spark plug, you put a hot one, you risk a hole into the piston. And I saw it already once or twice that a customer comes to me and says something is not good with this car. We took the spark plug out, we go with the endoscope inside, and we saw, there's a hole because it was the wrong spark plug. And the designers created like this. The hot spark plug should stay hot because the only thing to burn deposit away is hot, okay? But otherwise, you also have a cold spark plug, which you want to have it cold. It's created to stay colder than the other one because you don't want to have a hot spot. If you have a hot spot, you're running risk to have an ignition or firing spontaneously without that you want to have it, okay? And so in case of this, they use in this car, in the rotary engine, a hot and a cold spark plug. And this idiot who did the last service put 4 times the leading spark plug inside. And I mean, it's not, I mean, that's a big mistake because, you know, when you get under the car, you see on the right side from the holes where you can screw it in, you see L for leading and T for trailing. The same story also here on the spark plug himself and also here on the package from the spark plug. So I mean, you must be really a goddamn stupid idiot to doesn't understand that, okay? Or some hobby mechanic or whatever. Somebody who should not work on cars like this because it's dangerous. And now I'm afraid that this engine takes a damage because of it. I'm not sure, because when I drive it back from Geneva to my house, it runs well, it has power, everything was right. Only when I stopped by a red light, it was a little bit of misfiring and the engine sometimes shakes a little bit. But I was thinking, okay, this is because maybe it's an old spark plug or old ignition coils, because I mean the RX-8 is famous for its problems with ignition coils and spark plug cables, and so I thought it was maybe this. And at the end, maybe the ignition coils was good and the cable also. It was maybe just a problem because of the wrong spark plugs inside. I'm thinking about it to make a separate video about it to get with the endoscope inside into the combustion chamber to see if some damage happens to the rotor. I'm not sure. We will see if we will make it, if we will make a video like this. But yeah, sadly. This is a found that I really sadly need to experience. Okay, forget about it. Let's talk about the filters. As you saw in the video, we have a lot of deposit in the air filters. The filter from the engine, full of those small things, extremely dirty. I think the last time they changed it was really long ago. And the same story also by the cabin filters, full of dirt, and also there has a lot of this hazelnuts inside. It was the whole car, the whole air intakes, all was full of hazelnuts. Excuse me. Which means to me, it is an indication it is an indication to me that this car stands for a long time somewhere outside, and some animals get into the car and deposit there the hazelnuts for the next winter. It reminds me like this funny guy Scrat from Ice Age. I think one of his brothers was into this car and put a lot of deposit for the next winter in it before we come to pick it up. Yeah, so yeah, that was the first part. But before we finish, let's come to the most important thing, and this is the result from the compression tester. Okay, so after I did the compression tester, I did it on each rotor 3 times, and then I calculated, because Cyril gave me a website where I can go calculate it, put inside how many RPMs, how many PSI, and then the end result comes out. I took the average, and rotor number 1, which is the last rotor, has 4.6 bar, which is 67 PSI. Very bad, because Mazda says everything under 6 bar is no more, it's no good. You need to rebuild the engine. In case of this last rotor, yes, we need to rebuild it. But the front rotor has 90 PSI, which is then 6.2 bars, and this is good. That's okay. Okay? So it is a big gap between both rotors in case of the compression test. And I need to say, the car starts well, even with the wrong spark plugs and all that stuff. Old oil and old ignition coils and old spark cables. It starts well. Doesn't matter if it was hot or cold. And I think because of this, I will still running it. I will still drive it before I go to the rebuild. I think I will start thinking about the rebuild first, then when I have really serious problems by the hot start with this engine, which is right now not the problem. It starts very fine. And so I think I will still drive it. Okay, so next video, next week, we will take care about part 2 of the service, which means we will change the brakes, brake fluid, and most important to me, we will change the slave cylinder of the clutch, because the clutch feeding is bad. Okay, the pressure point is very late, and when you want to drive it a little bit more sportier, when you want to start by the red light, it feels so shaky, because you have it feels to me like you have only 2 millimeters way before the clutch gets contact to the flywheel, and it doesn't feel well. So this is that thing that we want to do in part 2. We will then put again summer tires on it, or summer wheels, the original one, and then finally in part number 3 we want to test drive it. We want to make a car review about it before we start to modify it. We want to find out how it drives in the original stock setting, like it leave it from the factory, with all new fluids, new filters, new spark plugs, new brakes, new slave cylinder from the clutch, and made a good car review and have a lot of fun on the Swiss mountain roads. And until then, stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, so you will not miss the next video. See you in the next video.